get out and drive.
Hi, I'm John McLeod with Classic Instruments, and I'm here for a series of our tech tips. And today we're going to show you how to calibrate your speedometer. There's 3 different ways you can calibrate your Classic Instruments speedometer. Once you're in the programming mode, you have 3 options, and the 3 options are instant calibration, real-time calibration, and measured mile calibration. Each one has a separate way of how you can calibrate your speedometer and why you would use it. We recommend using the measured mile, for it's the easiest way to do it and the safest for one person to do it. What we've set up here is a simulator that's going to show how your speedometer works, so we can kind of give you an idea what it's like driving down the road. The first thing you want to do once you have your speedometer all wired up is you want to fire it up, add power. This is a key on position. You'll see that your gauge sweeps. Some of our newer ones sweep. Some of the older ones, the pointer will just come off the stop. But that's the first indicator that you want to see, is that pointer coming off the stop. The next thing you want to do is going to be take the car for a drive. We'll be able to simulate that by driving down the road. You can see that we're going a little over 40 miles an hour. Your speedometer may be off, but that's okay, because next we're going to show you how to calibrate it. But this is the first important step, that we have power and ground and that the speedometer actually works. Each one of the Classic Instruments speedometers comes with a momentary switch. This is a micro momentary switch, and basically what this is doing is when you push the button, it completes the circuit to ground. That's going to get your speedometer into calibration mode. For our purposes, we have a little different momentary switch just so you can see it. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to push and hold your momentary switch, and then you will start the vehicle. Once the vehicle starts, you'll let go, and you'll notice your pointer will go to 50 miles an hour. Every time you touch the switch, it will move the pointer, which will set you up for a different calibration mode. Once you get to the mode that you want, you push and hold, then that will program that part of it in. That's all explained in our instruction manual. Next, we'll show you each one of those and how they work. Once again, you push, hold the momentary switch, start the car up. We'll come to 50 miles an hour. And for our first setup, we want to do the measured mile. So that is where you go to 70. Once it's at 70, you push and hold. You'll see the speedometer drop. Now it's in calibration for the measured mile. Again, we recommend this one as your first setup, then this is what we want to do, because it's the safest for one driver or person to calibrate the speedometer and be safe on the road. Once it's in this mode, now you drive the vehicle 1 mile. Once you drive that mile, you can check that through a chase vehicle, through a GPS on your smartphone, or anything that you know that you will travel 1 mile. You can start and stop as many times as you want until you get to that mile, but we also recommend not using mile markers along the freeway. We found that those are not exactly 1 mile apart, and if that's off from 1 mile, your speedometer will be off. So next I'm going to show you a simulation of it driving for 1 mile. So we would go 60 miles an hour. So I'll get it to where we're going 60. You'll notice that the speedometer is not working, and then we have to do it for 1 minute. So we'll go for 1 minute, and then we'll be right back with you. At the end of 1 mile, we've stopped the vehicle, we've pulled off the side of the road and make sure we're safe. Once you get to that point, you now push and hold your micro switch. The pointer will rise to 90, and you'll see in your manual that 90 is to get out of calibration mode. So we're going to push and hold the button again. The pointer will drop down to 0, and your gauge is now set. You can start your car back up and with your GPS do a quick test, but you'll see you'll start driving and you'll be at 60 miles an hour. If you go shorter or longer than the mile, it will be off, and we can show you how to dial that in next. Okay, now you've driven your marked mile and you notice your speedometer's a little off. That means you either overshot your mile or undershot your mile by a little bit. The real-time calibration is designed for doing that micro adjustments to get it dialed on. So you're going to be driving your vehicle at 30 miles an hour and you notice that you're off, according to your GPS. And your GPS works best whether you're using a Garmin or your smartphone when it's going in a straight line. So you're going to want to pull your vehicle off, shut the car off, and we got to get back into calibration mode. So once again, we're going to push and hold our button, start the vehicle up, release the button. We'll be at 5. For real time, push and release the button. It's at 60. So 60 is our real time. So we're going to push and hold. And the pointer will drop down to 0. Now you can drive your car. We strongly recommend that you have 2 people to do this. We need 1 person to drive the car and 1 person to watch the speedometer, the GPS, and run the micro switch. So we're going to go about 30 miles an hour. And you'll notice that we're reading a little high. So by pushing and holding your micro switch button, it will raise the pointer, release it, it will lower the pointer. You can do this as many times as you want. I'm going to take it down to the 30 miles an hour, then release it. After you're satisfied with it and you've got it dialed into your GPS and you're happy with your speedometer, you want to leave it alone for 8 seconds. Once that 8 seconds is up, you just want to tap your micro switch button. So you're just going to tap it once and you'll see that it'll go up to 70, touch it again, 80, and then to 90. Remember that 90 is how to get out of calibration mode. So once you do that, you push and hold it, and then your pointer will drop down to 0. Once that drops down to 0, you are finished. And you can happily drive your car, your speedometer is dialed in perfect. We have one more setting to show you, and that will be next. Our last calibration mode is the instant calibration. This is where you're going to drive your vehicle at 30 miles an hour once you're in calibration mode and set it, and it will match it exactly to 30 miles an hour. Maybe you don't want to drive your car a mile, maybe you can't go distance-wise. There's a lot of different special circumstances for where driving 30 miles an hour is the only option that you have, but we strongly recommend that you use 2 people. One person is going to be watching a GPS and running the speedometer, making sure that's fine, and the micro switch, while the other one's doing the driving. So I'll show you how to get that one set up. Again, we're going to go back into calibration mode. You're going to push and hold your micro switch, start your vehicle, release the switch. We'll be at 50. 50 is the one for the instant calibration. So we're going to push and hold. The pointer will drop to 0. Now you're ready to go to the instant calibration. Again, you're going to go out and drive the vehicle at a steady 30 miles an hour. So we're going to simulate that. We're driving 30 miles an hour. You'll notice that our speedometer is not working. Once you're at steady 30 miles an hour, your second person will push and hold the button. You'll see the speedometer will come up to 30. Then you release. That is as simple as it gets, and that's how you get to that. To get out of calibration mode, you just tap it, and you'll go to 60, 70, 80, 90. Again, 90 is to get out of calibration mode. Push and hold, the pointer will drop to 0, and you're out of calibration mode, and you're ready to start driving and test your speedometer against your GPS. The last thing we'd like to show you is the factory default. A lot of things can happen when we're working on hot rods, getting yelled at for being in the garage, somebody calls you, some other buddy needs some help on his car, whatever it takes. So if you're in the middle of something and everything just screws up, we did build it in there so you can do a factory default. So what you want to do again is get in calibration mode, push your button, start your vehicle up. Once you release the button, you'll notice that we're back at 50, 60, 70, 80. 80 is your factory default. So once again, push and hold. You'll see the pointer will jump up to 90. And again, remember 90 is how we get out of calibration mode. So once we're at 90, we push and hold again. The pointer will drop. You've now completed and went back to a factory default, and you can start back over again. This time get your buddy to come over and help you. We hope this helps you with all your calibration questions, but if not, you can always contact us at 1-800-575-0461. We appreciate all your time, we appreciate your business, and thank you for making Classic Instruments your finishing touch.